Good evening, afternoon, and welcome to today's episode of Does Anybody Have Any Spare Bubble Bath? I am Will, the man who thinks of all his retorts whilst wearing shorts. Yep, that's right, that's my new tagline. Okay, so in today's episode of Does Anybody Have Any Spare Bubble Bath? I'm going to be talking to you about all sorts of things, ranging from obesity to the idea that education abolishes your childhood. So, yeah, we're going to try and have some fun along the way then. A little bit of fun. Not too much fun. Not a massive fan of fun at all times. So, let's get into it. Firstly, I need to do my Will's apology section of today. Obviously, every day I feel the need to apologise to at least one person. And today it's everyone. Everybody gets an apology. Everyone, all my subscribers, I'm so sorry. You see, the thing is, I didn't record a show yesterday, and there are varying reasons for that. From the fact that I was exhausted from the first day back at work due to my viral infection, of which if I die, none of you guys get anything. To the fact that basically I couldn't be bothered. But that's neither here nor there. My face is remarkably shiny today, which is rather odd for me. And I'm growing out the stubble. I'm afraid it takes me a long time to grow a beard, so this is as good as we're going to get for now. I actually haven't shaved since I started making these programs, so I suppose if we look at it as sort of a portfolio of shows, you'll actually see my gradual facial hair growth. Okay, so that's that. Oh, just wanted to apologise as well. I looked at episode 2 statistics, and if you notice, none of my episodes ever get liked, but I have had dislikes. Now, episode 2, the statistic was I had one dislike from someone in France. Now, the only reason I can think of is I may have slightly been a wee bit stereotypical of the old frogs at some point. It's not for me to say that the French have no sense of humour, but they have literally no sense of humour. I'm sorry that you got so offended by the fact that I said you were all a bunch of womanising, surrendering, cheese-eating monkeys. And I can't help it. I'm sorry. That's just the way you are. If you don't want me to make these stereotypes, stop crashing trains. All right? That's all you have to do. Just don't sit at home at your computer and be like, "Oh, this Mr. Stiglan, he is very offensive about me and my peoples. Oh no, I am terribly upset. I must smoke a ridiculously long cigarette. I'm too stressed out. I will press the dislike button right after I've finished this Sauvignon Blanc." Yeah, that's exactly how you French people are. And I hate to say you French people, but, you know, maybe it's just one of you. Maybe you are the stereotypical Frenchman. I can imagine you right now. Sitting at home, in your bedroom, crowded with ridiculously beautiful women. All of which are just lying in your bed after you've severely underwhelmed them sexually. And there you are in your stripy jumper. What is this? The greatest show on the internet! Does anybody have any spare bubble bath? Well, show what, Frenchie. Don't get so upset, yeah? Take a joke. That's all I'm asking you to do. It's only a joke. It's not meant to upset you. If I wanted to upset you, I'd just call you a prick and that you couldn't win anything since Nelson died. I beg your pardon. Since Napoleon died. You know, except for the 1996 World Cup. Congratulations on that. Anyway, rant over. Sorry about that, everyone who isn't an arse. Right, so what are we going to talk about in today's episode? Well, if you noticed, I am one shade of grey today, so you can call me Christian if you want. I am going to get back to the idea of wearing novelty t-shirts, but unfortunately my entire suitcase was stolen in Ibiza. Now, I will talk about this at some point. You're going to have to keep waiting. Nobody's given me any feedback except for one of my subscribers who gave me a bit of feedback about the two-man version of the show. He mentioned how he liked the fat one, and he wanted to see more of him. The fatty. Now, it's not for me to say that he's fat, just comparatively, I suppose. But anyway, should we get on with some topics? Alright, so obviously topic number one that I wanted to talk about today was the BBC have released a study on their news website that being really fat is bad for your health. Yep. They decided to actually spend money and investigate the fact that being overweight and obese is bad for your health. Now, I'm not saying this is a waste of money. It kind of is, but I'm not going to say it because somebody will get offended and dislike my program, which is ridiculous, by the way, because this is like the third best thing on the internet. I mean, I think it goes like Pornhub, Funny Kittens, me, people falling over. Or at least that's how it should go. Obviously, other pornographic websites are available. But, yeah, so apparently obesity is linked to osteoporosis, which if you don't know what osteoporosis is, it's like a bone disease, gives you brittle bones and stuff like that. Not very entertaining, but slightly factual, I find. So you've all been educated in the very least today. Okay, the second thing, obviously, on the subject of fat people, because you know it's a big subject, the big boys. The boffins in science labs. Oh, by the way, I did mention our budget. It's now been completely used up because I went to the pub. But we had a budget and I spent it all. Please, please, please send money. Find it in your hearts. I'm not going to give my sort code and account number out on the internet. But if you want to make a pledge and a donation, I will give you a PO box address that you can send a donation to. Just pledge to me in the comment section. Otherwise, I'm going to stop making this program. Or at least I'll keep making it, but I'll make it very dull and unentertaining. And nobody wants that. I kind of do. I just want the money. But anyway, yeah, I'm back at work at the moment, and whilst I was at work, I farted in a lift. Has anybody farted in a lift before? Have you ever farted in a lift? I am a lift farter. I'm afraid to say I can't help myself. If I'm in an enclosed space with a large amount of people, I fart in a lift. I can't help it. However, today went a bit far. You see, I was stood next to my boss, and we were in the lift going upstairs, and I let out an awful fart. It was so bad. And I looked right over to him. I said, "Did you have to do that right here in the lift?" His face, it was absolutely priceless. Honestly, you'd have thought I'd have called him a paedophile or something like that. He was so offended by me saying that, and he got really worked up about it. Problem was, it kind of backfired on me because I actually followed through a little bit. I had to walk around with shitty pants all day long. When I say all day long, I mean it was at 5 to 3 that I did this. So it was only like an hour or 5 minutes. But yeah, that was my day. How was everyone else's day? I forgot to ask. How is everyone? Back on fat people. I was meant to talk about fat people. Right. So obviously they've worked out that fat is bad for your health. I am ridiculously hot and I'm half debating taking my t-shirt off. I'm thinking of doing one top this episode. What does everyone think? Answer in the comment section, please. Anyway, fat people. They've invented this injection that you can take, and it will release something to your brain, and it makes you not want to eat, which is pretty cool, I suppose. I can see that backfiring pretty massively, but there we are. So it's a cure for hunger. Very helpful for the fatties. I'm thinking of trying to get some for Darren. Everyone remembers Darren. Yeah. God, this is a grossly unentertaining show today. I'm terribly sorry about this. The news at the moment, if you looked at any of the news, it's all crap. I mean, there's literally nothing entertaining. There's a story in the news today about how the new curriculum abolishes childhood. Yeah, because no child ever wants to be good at anything. You know, we should just let them run around and pretend to be aeroplanes until they're like 40 years old. That would be my ideal life situation. If I could just pretend to be an aeroplane until I was 40 years old. It's ridiculous. Kids have got to grow up at some point. And that got me to thinking today. How old were you when you found out Santa Claus wasn't real? I'm not going to lie. I was 13. I was. I genuinely believed in Santa Claus until I was 13. And I'm not embarrassed by that. Pretty happy about it, to be honest. I wish Santa Claus was real. I've just realised I recorded all of this, and you can now see the inside of my wardrobe. Check it out. This is my clothing section. There it is. All my clothes. All my wonderful clothes. Please don't come around and rob me. I've had comments about my bed and how comfortable it looks. These weren't comments on the videos. These were comments made to me via textual messages. Also, just want to give a big shout out to Lewis Wise, who I know is watching today. Lewis is a very loyal fan and a really good friend. And the thing that people don't know about Lewis is he's currently single, like myself, and Darren. Something about me makes other people single, I think. I think if anyone had a relationship, I would just go along and poison it. I'm just a poisonous relationship listen, I'm going to be alone forever. Genuinely am. In fact, if any girls are watching this and they could bear to find me attractive, please just put a comment in the video section. I would be very happy. Yeah. What was I saying? Children, yeah. They've got these really good curriculums, and I'm really jealous about the things they actually get to learn about now as kids. Like things that when we were kids, I say we, I mean I would assume that everyone watching this is my age or slightly older, or maybe a couple of years younger, but not significantly. How hench do I not look? I look so pathetically unhinged. That is a good cup of tea. Look, France, that's what you're missing out on. See that? If you could ever win a war, you could have some of that. Boom. Tea, shlaka laka. Boom! Yeah, that's how you neck a cup of tea, bitches. I don't know why it's called your bitches. I'm terribly sorry. You're all deeply my friends. So, where was I? Where was I? Where was I? Oh, there was a... If that was really loud, I'm sorry. There was a driving instructor cheating scandal the other day. Basically, there was this Chinese guy who, for the element of this conversation, I'm going to call China. And he was basically, he's a translator for the DSA. And when he was verbally translating the tests out for the theory test, whenever he thought the answer was right, he'd say "she," which is obviously the Mandarin word for yes. So he would say, you know, when driving in a zone, you see a sign that was. Why am I going to? Anyway, he was basically cheating. He earned 100 grand out of it. Can you imagine that? I'm going to learn Mandarin and just start doing that. £100,000. I mean, he got caught and he had to. Well, he's in prison now, but at least he had some money. You know. Speaking of earning money, if you guys could all pledge, say, let's see, I've got about 30 listeners. If you could pledge £1,000 each, I could make this my full-time job for 1 year. Could you imagine that? Maybe 2 years if I'm careful with the money, which is unlikely, because I'm fun, basically. Yeah, so he was obviously cheating and stuff, and people didn't like it very much. What else? See, there's not a lot, like I said, there's not a lot of entertaining stuff in the news at the moment. I mean, there's no great stories. I'm waiting for something hilarious to happen that I can just go on at length about in the news. Like they're saying about this morning that there's gold and platinum and stuff in the streets of London, and the road sweeping companies are sweeping it all up and they're going to put it in a big sieve and like shake it out and try and get the gold particles. Well, that's brilliant, but oh, it's coming out of the catalytic converters of cars, which is basically this thing that you've got to have in your car legally now. And I can't bother to explain it. It's really protracted and boring, but it's like potentially a good story. But then you have to go into detail, and it just gets so drab and dry and boring and useless that you don't really want to be going on about it. And oh, my dad's bald, by the way, and he came out with the greatest nugget of information last night. He said to me, "Will, you see your big hair, your loads of hair?" I said, "Well, I don't see it, but I'm aware it's there, Dad." He said, "You see how I haven't got any?" I said, "Well, to be honest, mate, I hadn't noticed. You hide it so well." He doesn't. He's bold as a coot. Remember I said coot. Nothing else, coot. Anyway, I said, "No, I haven't noticed that you hide it so well." He says, "Well, listen, grass doesn't grow on a busy street." Well, it does, alright? It does grow on a busy street. The only thing is, Dad, you do think about things, so what? You're still bold, I'm still prettier than you. That's the deal. I'm sorry to say it. But he's a nice guy and all that. So that's probably one more group of people I've offended. The bold people, the French people. Oh, the Americans don't particularly like me either. I don't remember ever saying anything bad about Americans, and if I did, they wouldn't have got it anyway because they're a bunch of thick bastards. But, you know, if there's an American watching, I'm sorry for that. I do this entire show in one take, and sometimes I go on a bit. I've got one dedicated fan in Spain as well. I found this demographic thing on YouTube. It's really good. I've got one dedicated fan in Spain. And I think I know who she is. I think it's Robin, watching from Lanzarote. But she's on holiday and spending her holiday watching this. If you're watching this, by the way, Spain, can you actually like one of my episodes? That would be quite nice, because nobody's liked them, and I've just had some really shitty unlikes or dislikes from Frenchy and American-y guys. You know, it's not nice. It makes me sad. Makes me really sad. I got one dislike from the UK as well, but I think that was probably Connor when I said he had a small penis. I'm not saying you personally have a small penis. All I'm saying is there's a directly inverse relationship between people who wear hats and the size of their penis. Because I have a penis, but I don't wear a hat inside. So if we follow that inverse proportional relationship, those who don't wear hats inside have penises. Therefore, those who do wear hats inside, you get where I'm going here. But yeah, no, I do try and be informative and I do try and be educational, but I also do like to talk about myself a lot, and there's a reason for that. I like me. I think I'm a pretty good person, and I'd like to talk about myself because, let's be honest, the rest of my life is pretty fucking boring. Now, I would talk about funny stories and crazy anecdotes ad infinitum. And in fact, that's what I'm going to do. Right now, you're all going to get the 411 on what went down in Ibiza. Day one in the Ibiza holiday. 4 young lads arrived on a plane to Ibiza. Well, actually, whilst they were still on the plane, they decided to try and fail to chat up the air hostess and got completely blasted on Heineken. By the way, Heineken tastes significantly better from a can on a plane. Just saying, if you're going to drink Heineken, do it on a plane in a can. It's, honestly, it's significantly nicer. Viral infection, if I die, you get nothing. Do you deserve my Ibiza story? Nobody's liked it. So I'll tell you what, if anybody likes my videos, I will regale them with stories from Ibiza, and some of them are really good. So let's have some likeages, and you will have some Ibiza stories. In the meantime, I want to pose a couple of questions to you. Firstly, nobody's ever commented back about pissing themselves through the toilet seat. Am I the only one? Because that actually happened to me again today when I got in from work. So I think it's not... Maybe other people do it, but not quite as often as me. I got in from work today, pulled my trousers down, been a long day, sat down on the toilet. Also, does anyone get it? When they're about to leave the house, and all of a sudden they have an uncontrollable urge that they need a shit. And then they sit down on the toilet, and they don't need a shit. It's ridiculous. It's like, oh, you know you're leaving for work now. Go have a shit. Oh, this is really awkward now. Lewis Wise is phoning me. So we're going to try and have this conversation on recording. Lewis, you're live on Does Anybody Have Any Spare Bubble Bath? What do you have to say?
I've just finished work. Well, I'm still at work, so it's a pleasure to be here so soon. Yeah, all good. How's production going?
Well, we're live and we do this show in one take, as you know. So, yeah, is this a conversation you want recorded or not?
Well, am I on speaker?
You are on speaker.
Well, I don't know how good it's going to be, but yeah. How many of the viewers? Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wise.
That's about it. I'll call you in a bit, I guess.
Alright, cheers, Lou.
Thank you.
Bye. Lewis Wise, everyone. Do you know, when we were at college together, we had a mass email system at college where you could have everyone's email address. And I got onto his email account and I set out a really pathetic asking for a date email to every single person in the entire college. And he took it really well. He took it on the cheek, and I'm pretty proud of him for that. Listen, this show's gone on for a bit today. We've had a bit of fun. I've not been as funny as I potentially could have been, but I've been informative. And that's good. And hopefully something ridiculously funny happens in the news at some point, like George Osborne shits himself live on television, or something amazing happens, you know. But keep an eye out, and just remember, does anybody have any spare bubble bath? My last thought of the day is this. Would you rather be a human with 2 octopus arms, or an octopus with 8 human arms? Which one is best? Oh, by the way, what are we thinking to the topless show next week? I think I might get some more viewers. Yeah? Alright, anyway guys, peace out, love you.